I think people are interested in reading about situations of surviving in extreme conditions. And the Second World War was an example of that, particularly for people in the resistance and for Jews in concentration camps. And my mother's book is a very vivid description, very detailed and specific from a women's perspective about what surviving was like. And it is an inspiring story. I think all literature, and particularly Holocaust literature, has been dominated by men. What my mother's book, as a women's book, and particularly as a fashion designer's book, brings to the subject is her eye. She looked for details, both in what people wore, how people behaved, what their relationships were like. She was interested in relationships between women and men and women and women. And she described it all with an attention to detail that I think is very particular to a fashion designer. My first return to the Czech Republic was very dramatic. It was 1968, August 16th. I was a student. I was 20 years old. I was coming to Prague for the first time since we left 20 years earlier. And I was just overwhelmed. The first thing when I got off the train was hearing the language all around me. Czech was a language I had only heard at home from people I knew very well. And to hear it coming from the loudspeakers in the train station was just very, very strange. I only used the form of ti rather than vi. And so I was talking intimately to everyone I met, including cab drivers and black marketeers. It was a very strange situation. I loved Prague. I think I remember it from when I was a baby. I remember the colors. I remember the cobblestones. And mostly I just loved everything about it. And of course, after 5 days, the Soviet army invaded Czechoslovakia and brought all of it to an end. For me personally, it was a very, very traumatic time, but it was also the birth of my career as a journalist. The first article I ever wrote was about the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia, as seen from Veverkova ulice, and it was published in the Jerusalem Post. And after that, I became a professional journalist. I've often imagined what my life would be like if my parents had not emigrated to the United States. I think my life would have been very, very difficult. My father was an athlete, and he was a member of the Czechoslovak the National Olympic Committee in between 1945 and 1948. And maybe as a sportsman, he would have avoided many of the political issues that might have put him in prison. But I don't think so. I think both of my parents were extremely outspoken people, and their experience in the concentration camps had made them very, very intolerant of any form of suppression or totalitarianism. And I think that both of them would have gotten into trouble, which would have impacted on me. I also think I was a very rebellious personality when I was a teenager, and I myself would have been in trouble with the authorities very early. Because my parents were both middle class, I would have been barred from going to university and to the schools I wanted to go to. And I feel very, very lucky that my parents made the decision to emigrate in 1948, and that I was able to come back as a tourist starting in the 60s and until now.